Alright, what's up everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment, but as always, you guys can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and give us a thumbs up in the chat, and we will get started here momentarily. Thank you all for joining, and have a wonderful Sunday night. Alright everybody, I think we can go ahead and get started here. Well, good evening everyone, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is June 30th, 2024. It's exactly 9:13 p.m. Eastern Time. We are reporting live from the corner of East 56th Street and Park Avenue. Now the view that you're seeing right here is looking southbound on Park. Adjacent to us, we have the 425 Park Avenue building, which is one of the most state-of-the-art Class A office towers in the United States right now. It's a beautiful looking building, and this is also the temporary headquarters of Citadel, the major market maker and hedge fund on Wall Street. But Citadel is also going to be building their own super tall structure right here on Park to rival 270 Park Avenue, which is the JP Morgan Chase office tower. Theirs is going to be 350 Park. So if you're interested in some commercial real estate here in New York, you could look at some of the renderings online of 350 Park Avenue, and that is going to be the new headquarters of Citadel, at least in New York. Now, today is the official last day of June, and Friday, which was June 28th, was the official last day of the quarter. So we are now headed into July 1st, which is going to be Monday, and it will be a shortened trading week, obviously, because of Independence Day. July 4th lands on a Thursday, so we will only have a 4-day week of trading, but I can probably, I should say pretty much guarantee that everyone's probably going to be out of the office from Thursday all the way till the 7th. If I had to guess. So big stuff coming up, and it's always big stuff coming up on the 1st of every month for a few reasons. So we'll just kind of hammer them through one by one. But if you've been watching the live streams, if you've been reading our free equity research pieces, the Behind the Street newsletter, you'll know that the first of the month, the first business day of the month, I should say, we always get key economic data which we can use as leading economic indicators. Number one, which is the Institute for Supply Management. They are going to be releasing the manufacturing PMI numbers tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And we could use this to gauge the health of the US manufacturing sector. Being that 20% of the US economy is manufacturing, it's pretty important to get a good grasp and understanding on if manufacturing is expanding in the US, if manufacturing is contracting, or if there's no change. A little bit later on in the week, we are going to be followed up with the Institute for Supply Management, or the ISM Services PMI, which is also important because about 70%, or a little more than 70%, I should say 80% of the economy is services. So we can use these two as leading economic indicators if you want to be directed right to the primary source. If you type !ISM in the chat, it'll drop the link to the Institute for Supply Management PMI numbers. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to try to go all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. This is the Aston Martin showroom. I think this is one of those Formula One cars. But it's going to be a pretty big week, but a shortened trading week. I'm sure volume is going to be extremely low across the board on all of the exchanges. So with that being said, everybody, let's go ahead and get started and see who we have in the chat. I see Alan, what's up? Dan Loki, Xavier Solo 401, Anna, Lena Sandoval, Professor Dario, welcome to New York City. Always a pleasure to have you here. JK is here, what's up? Or JF is here as well. Shane, welcome. Planes and palm trees. Oh, that's correct. Tomorrow is Canada Day. Is that right? So happy Canada Day to all of our Canadians. I think it's tomorrow. At least I think it's tomorrow. Now, another interesting and exciting fact here. I want everybody to look across the street. This building is absolutely beautiful. We've been talking about it for quite some time on Walks in Wall Street, and we do have some news. What you're looking at right now is the Four Seasons Hotel right on Billionaires Row, 57th Street. And this has been closed down since the pandemic, but the good news is that it's opening yet again. So by the end of the summer, this should be open for operation. And I think they're even going to condominiumize a few of the units and sell some of the units on the top floor. And this is just a beautiful building. I love the architecture. I love that big entrance, that kind of overhang there. So it's good news. Right here on Billionaires Row, the Four Seasons Hotel on 57th Street will be opening again. So New York is looking on the up and up. Arlo is here, Elijah, Lance, T-Cal, Tofu Shoots, DM. Well, I hope everybody had a really good weekend. I know I did. If you tuned into last night's broadcast, one of the things that I wanted to recommend, or what I did recommend everybody go check out. So if you missed last night's broadcast, I might as well bring it up again right now. I want you to go ahead and navigate to Amazon's investor relations page. So if you go to amazon.com/investor relations, I want you to scroll down about a third of the way down the page and click on the annual shareholder letter. It's just an unbelievable read. And July 5th is going to be I think the 3rd year anniversary that we have a new CEO at Amazon, right? Taking the place of Jeff Bezos, Andy Jassy. I think he's done a fantastic job navigating through the little bit of a lull in cloud spending. Also getting those gross margins last quarter, operating margins at Amazon reached double digits for the first time in company history. The stock is now trading at new all-time record highs. I think that'll continue over time, and I think Amazon will continue on to be, after this, out of this correction, a true market leader. But it's just an amazing case study on perspective here. And Shane, thank you for your donation. We will see the H&M building later on in the stream. But go ahead and read that shareholder letter. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the letter, they included the original Amazon annualized shareholder letter from 1997. It's the most unbelievable thing to see the kind of numbers that Amazon is putting up now in comparison to what they were putting up in 1997. So check it out. It's just an unbelievable read. I have it up here. I'm not sure if you could see it, but look at that. This is in 1997. It says Amazon passed many milestones in 1997. By year end, we have served more than 1.5 million customers, yielding 838% revenue growth to 147.8 million. Think about that, $148 million in revenue for the entire year. Now, for some context, ending fiscal year 2023, Amazon's total revenue grew 12% year over year and finished at 575 billion. I'll say that again. In 2023, Amazon's annualized revenue for the year was $575 billion, a long way from the $147.8 million in 1997. That just gives you the perspective of just how successful and crazy this company has grown. So check it out. I think it's a good case study, and we can use, the model book of these great companies like Amazon's, like the Microsofts of the world, the Alphabet, to do a really, really deep dive into those companies to try to project on the new and emerging upcoming companies so we can participate in that growth of America's greatest companies. All right, let's bang this left by Tiffany in Trump Tower. Right now you're looking at Billionaires Row. You see the Steinway Tower, 157 and Central Park Tower. Hey, Sabrina Fair, what's up? Always good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's go ahead and head all the way downtown if we can. I'm gonna try to get you guys to the Brooklyn Bridge. This is Tiffany, that was built by LVMH, Moet Hennessy. And here's the outside of Trump Tower, which is open to the public from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Margaret, what's up? Good to see you. Aria says, I have a question as a non-American about apartments in New York City. Do you pay for the concierge and other staff in the apartment you live in addition to the rent of the unit? If you own, yeah, you would pay the common charges. So if you're buying an apartment or a condo or in a co-op, you'll have your monthly maintenance component, which funds the operations for the building. And then you would pay your taxes. But if you're just renting the apartment, you would not pay an additional monthly maintenance. That would be your landlord who would be paying that. And hopefully he would be making some money, right? Hopefully. Now, a lot of these older condos have very, very high monthly maintenance. Particularly the ones with a lot of amenities in there. This Trump Tower to the left of us, the monthlies are extremely, extremely high there. Same thing at 1 Central Park West, which is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. They have pretty astronomical common charges. So it really just depends. Really, really just depends. It's quite a quiet Sunday night. What I think is going to happen in New York City this week, or what has already happened, since the 4th of July is on Thursday, I have a feeling everybody pretty much just left the city out on Long Island, and they're just probably going to take the week off, most people. I think a lot of people are away. The city does seem quite quiet, which is nice. Now, an unfortunate thing is that Peninsula Hotel now has scaffolding all over the front of it, which is a little unfortunate. It's kind of a bummer. Hopefully that'll be down by the holiday season, because inside the lobby of the Peninsula, and even on the outside, has some of the best holiday decorations for sure. T-Cal, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Building just off to your right is one of my favorites. Have those beautiful American flags there. Yeah, Trade Brigade, what's going on? Good to see you. Definitely gearing up for Independence Day. It's one of my favorite holidays, mainly because it's low stakes, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas are a little bit stressful, you know, with the family, this and that, yada yada. Birthdays are kind of stressful too, but Independence Day, it's just like everyone's hanging out, celebrating America, which is fantastic. This is another really good shot of Steinway Tower. There's only 60 residences, 60 units in that whole massive building. What we were talking about kind of yesterday in the chat is many of the buyers in Steinway Tower are pied-à-terre buyers, which means they don't live there full time. So assuming you do live there full time, you pretty much have the run-of-the-mill on all of the amenities. So you have, I think there's over 50,000 square feet of amenities at Steinway, something to that nature. You have the whole place to yourself. This is the University Club here. Now, Trade Brigade, before you jumped in here, we were talking about Amazon. I was doing a little bit of a deep dive and a read into the annual shareholder letter. And on July 5th, I think it's going to be the 3rd year anniversary that Andy Jassy has taken over from Jeff Bezos as CEO. And I think he's done a really, really good job. Last quarter at Amazon was the first quarter where operating margins were double digits. I think margins are going to continue to expand. I think the e-commerce business is now going to turn into a profit center, which before it's really been a loser. I think you have this great tailwind with AWS. And I think that could potentially be an interesting trade when everybody is going towards and crowding into the semiconductors, kind of those crowded trades. I think, you know, Amazon, after almost 3.5 years now, is going to have another day in the sun, which I think is going to be great. All of the earnings estimates are being revised higher for both this fiscal year and fiscal year 2025. This is the beautiful St. Thomas Church across the street. Professor Darillo says, Tom, do you know which kind of area is located at the top of the Steinway Tower? Do you mean what's at the top of there? I think it's called a damper. I think it may be a similar kind of mechanism as to what is at the top of 432 Park. So if you Google 432 Park Avenue damper, it'll kind of show you, and I think there's a few videos on YouTube, just about the engineering of how that works. I think there's also one at the top of Central Park Tower too, which essentially acts as a counterbalance to the building. So the building is actually supposed to sway and move and kind of creak and be flexible. So when people, when people write these articles saying that it's, seems unsafe that the building is moving, that's actually very good news that the building is swaying and moving. It would be a big problem if it didn't. But I believe there's also one at the top of Steinway too that kind of acts as a counterweight or a counterbalance to the building. It's just incredible engineering how they're able to build that tall, which is crazy, just really, really wild. Shane, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Yeah, there is going to be scaffolding on the Flatiron building for the foreseeable future because they're doing a conversion from offices, commercial to condominiums. So pretty soon, who knows, you'll be able to buy something in the Flatiron building, which should be interesting to see how the floor plans are going to turn out. I don't know. In my opinion, it could potentially be quite awkward, the floor plans at the Flatiron building. But we'll see. Yeah, Trade Brigades is really nice technical breakout over the 190 area in the new highs, for sure. Yeah, and I think that, I'm a big breakout buyer, if you haven't noticed. And we are just clearing right now the 2021 highs in Amazon. And usually that's the start of the move. Right, the measured move here is significantly higher, assuming the general market holds up. So potentially what we could see is a rotation. Maybe the semiconductor sector will cool a little bit, it'll take a breather, and we'll have a rotation into some of these other names that got less love during the previous bull cycle. Another name I'm watching is Netflix. Hasn't yet broken into new record high territory, but we're just a few points off, spitting distance to new all-time record highs there. Now, another thing I noticed, and we're gonna write about this in the newsletter too, those beaten down enterprise software and SaaS names towards the tail end of last week, started to get a lot of love. There was one company I used to own, I don't own it any longer, Datadog, ticker symbol DDOG. I'll see if I can pull it up. But that one is starting to catch a pretty nice bid. So who knows? Maybe we see a rotation out of what's been really, really hot and in to some of the other names that have kind of lost its luster. Let me try to pull this up here, just so maybe you guys can see. Now, I'd only really buy these into new highs or into new 52-week highs, but this is a good example of the stock that's been super, super depressed, trading down, building out the right side of this base, and it's trying to come out. That looks like a cup with handle. You're seeing this on Datadog, you're seeing this on a few other names. Obviously, it's important that the fundamentals cooperate with this. Datadog's a great company. I almost went to work there, but I think that's probably what we'll see. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but those names that were really, really in fashion in 2021 have been building 3-year bases now. So take a look at some of those enterprise software names, SaaS names, that have now gotten through much of their overhead supply as earnings are ramping up, as sales are ramping up, and as margins are expanding. I think this could be an interesting play here. This is 53 West 53rd once again. Let's check out the restaurant. Let's see if there's any people here tonight. Looks like there's a lot. What's up, Triple G? Todd, how are you? Yeah, Trade Brigade says an XLY and an XLF rotation. You know, financials still look really, really good. Financials still look very good. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, I think are your two leaders in terms of the bigger investment banks, but also a lot of the boutiques are performing quite well, performing really good, which is a positive sign for the general market, because that means M&A activity, right? Mergers and acquisition, deals are being done, and we should have an interesting IPO pipeline. I'm quite curious to see how this new stock exchange in Texas is gonna churn out. There's been some whispering that in 2025, SpaceX will be IPOing there. Trade Brigade's JP Morgan Chase looks great, flipping daily trend back to up. APO has a great looking chart too. Had that in the newsletter today. Yeah, and you know, and to Trade Brigade, to your point, it kind of goes quite in contrast with what many people are saying out there in the market, right? Particularly about the banking sector, the financial sector. You have these fear articles about the mark-to-market losses are at new all-time record highs. So if you go to the FDIC, let me actually see if I could pull this up before my phone dies. Yes, it is true that the unrealized losses, I should say, in the MBS portfolio across the board at major banks are extremely underwater. Now, it's like, okay, obviously, because we're coming off a decade of zero interest rates. So if you have a decade worth of debt accumulation at zero rates, and then you raise interest rates 500 basis points, well, yeah, the debt or the MBS portfolio is going to be underwater. Now, that's okay if they're able to hold to maturity. They're called held to maturity. I think that's fine. But if you look at, right, if you focus on the other side, if you want to spin it, you know, on a bullish note, net income, or in terms of profits, right, bottom line, banks are recovering in a major way since the top in 2021. Like if you look at an annualized, you know, EPS for Goldman Sachs, for example, in 2021, banner year for investment banks on Wall Street, because there was a record number of deals, in both the M&A transaction sector, and there was a record number of deals in terms of IPOs. So they crushed. Come 2022 and 2023, it's a different story. Earnings absolutely cratered, but now in 2024, you have this V-shaped recovery in earnings. And as we always say, usually earnings lead the price by 6 months. It's usually like a 6-month lead, and you have all of these bank stocks trading at new all-time record highs. Go figure. This is Alliance Bernstein here, the AB building, right across from the flagship Hilton. Pam says, hey Tom, do you follow ServiceNow? I do. Bill McDermott's a really good guy. Bill McDermott's a fellow Long Islander. He grew up right around the corner from me, or the town that I was born in. But he's probably one of the greatest CEOs in enterprise software history, Bill McDermott. Now that's another stock that kind of has fallen out of fashion, and is getting back up within spitting distance of new all-time record highs. But yeah, ServiceNow is really, really great company, and the CEO couldn't be better. If there's a really good podcast, I mention it often, Dave Rubenstein podcast, big private equity guy, one of the probably in the top 5 of private equity titans in the entire world. David is, and his interview with Bill McDermott, CEO of ServiceNow, is unbelievable. So go watch it. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but check it out. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm so impressed with Bill McDermott. I'll tell you why. Because you would think a CEO of a big enterprise software company needs to be super technical, right? You would think they would need to be like this genius, like Michael Dell, or super, super technical, like, hold on one second. Let me, sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. Like any of the other big tech CEOs, like Mark Zuckerberg and the like. Bill McDermott's not a technical guy, right? His background is not enterprise software, right? He doesn't know how to code, he's not a technical guy, but he is an A-class operator. Like an A-class operator, and he's probably one of the best sales guys I've ever seen in my entire life. So check it out. Kyle Lacey says Bill McDermott needs to get rid of the transition lenses. Well, I don't think he can, because the story with him, he was at a Christmas party at his brother's house on Long Island, and he had this freak accident that happened. He fell down the stairs, and when he went to catch himself, you know, when you fall down the stairs, you go reach out to kind of catch yourself, and he was holding a wine glass, and when he put out his hand, his eye fell right directly onto the shattered wine glass, which the glass went straight through his eye, and he almost went blind from it. So I think he may be fully blind in his left eye, as to why if you see him on CNBC and things like that, he always wears glasses to cover that eye. It was like a freak accident during Christmas. I remember that. It was big news. It was crazy, crazy freak accident. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen. It's nuts. But all right, so we're turning down Billionaires Row, and then we're gonna make a beeline down 7th Avenue, and we're gonna go all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm gonna try to get you guys over the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. But this is Steinway Tower. And it looks like there's a lot of people home, does it not? Looks like a lot of lights are on. Red and highs as my 401k is on fire the last quarter. We love you, Joe. Yeah, I mean, market's trading in new all-time record highs. S&P 500, NASDAQ 100 charging into records. Now, to your point, not to get too political, but I think it's important because we've had the political debates, which was a horror show. But I've often said on this live stream, right, why I don't understand the messaging from the Biden administration. I really don't. But it was just explained to me by a really good friend why. So here's kind of how it was explained to me, right? And this is, I'm a conservative, right? I'm not a Biden supporter, but if I was, let's say if they hired me to do the messaging on the economy. Now, obviously the old saying, the stock market is not the economy. I would be tweeting out to my base. I would be emailing, I would be on the news every night, messaging that same exact thing that person put in the chat. Hey, S&P 500, new all-time record highs today. America's companies have never been doing better. You know, America's companies have never been generating more profits than they are right now, which is true. NASDAQ 100, new all-time record high, one of the strongest bull markets we've ever seen, going through this AI revolution. If I was Joe Biden's campaign, I would be screaming that every day that the market hits a new high, which this year it's been pretty much freaking every day. But it was explained to me, literally, the other day, why they don't do that. I don't know if this is true or not. Again, I'm not a big political guy, but they said the administration kind of views that as a negative because they pander to their base that money is evil, billionaires are evil, economic prosperity is evil, and that you need the government to go after these billionaires and raise taxes and corporate greed is bad, corporate America is bad. So if they message to their base that America's companies have never been churning out more profits, you know, corporate America has never been stronger, America's never been stronger, GDP growth is exploding, greatest economy ever, they would actually potentially lose votes from that. And I never thought about it like that before in my life, which is so crazy. So I don't know, I'm not a political analyst, but for me, I would change up my messaging because the Democrats' frame is billionaires are bad, tax the rich are terrible, corporate America is terrible, bad, bad, bad. But instead, the reframe should be America is the greatest country on earth. Under my administration, corporate America has never done better. Unemployment's never been lower. We're churning out record profits, record GDP growth. Stock markets are hitting new all-time record highs, record net income for big banks, and you could be a part of that. And America is a part of that. If you have a 401k, if you have a retirement account, you are a part of that. You are sharing in the growth of the greatest country the world has ever seen. And that's under my watch. That's the exact messaging that I would put out there if I was hired by the Biden administration. That's the messaging I'd put out. But again, the way it was explained to me is they could potentially lose voters for that, which is so strange. I don't get that. But anyway. Yeah, David S says Bitcoin 63.5. Bitcoin has rebounded a little bit. Let's actually pull up where the price of Bitcoin is right now. We had a little bit of a waterfall style sell-off just before the weekend. I think we actually hit 58,000 on Bitcoin, but to your point, it has recovered a little bit. And this looks good. This looks primed and ready to go here. Look at this. If you look at the closing candle, oh, Jesus. If you look at the closing candle here, let me pull off to the side and show you. This is very bullish. Just let me get the lighting right. Check this out. Can you guys see this? Look at that wick. I believe that's what you call a hammer candle. So the price went all the way down to 58, got sucked all the way back up, and I think this may be the time we break out into new highs, headed towards 80,000. So looking good. It's probably the largest cup with handle base I've ever seen on any chart besides gold. This is it zoomed out a little bit. This was the top in 2021, November of 2021. We've carved out this big base. Here's the handle, and then it looks like we're about to take off. So good call on that too. Shannon says Ethereum over 3,500. I don't own any Ethereum. I'm still a little bit creeped out by the SEC. Now, speaking of the SEC, we don't usually talk about the meme stocks and all that stuff, but did anybody see, and I don't know if this is fake news, somebody will have to fact check this in real time. I believe the Securities and Exchange Commission is suing the Roaring Kitty guy over GameStop. Is that true? I think they just put a lawsuit out on the guy. Anyway, this is Central Park Tower, 217 West 57th Street. An absolute stunner. Just a beautiful, beautiful building. And in the top right-hand corner, you see 157, the same developer, Xtel. Now, the reason why I bring it up is, didn't I predict that? I feel like I predicted that. I said, look, don't poke the bear. This guy, Roaring Kitty, is poking the bear. Even though I don't believe he's doing anything illegal, you know, if you're making a big stink, if you're making a big ruckus, if you're in the headlines, the SEC is going to come after you. So it's kind of like you got to play your cards right. Lee Oswald says, do you think they have a valid case against him? I don't know, to be honest. I'll give you my take, and then I want to know your take. Okay? Let's do that. I'll give you my take, and then I want to know your take. The way the rules are written right now did not account, and in all fairness, right? I don't want this to be like, you know, I'm hammering on the SEC like they're such a bad organization. I give them credit where credit's due. However, this is what I'll say. When the rules were written, nobody was ever in a million years expecting a market to be moved by memes and tweets and posts on the internet. Nobody would have ever thought about that in a million years. Now, you used to have, and you still do, right? By having market manipulation, by, you know, short sellers putting out hit pieces on different companies. But what's different this time, right? I'll tell you what's different this time. What's different this time is scalability, the scale. Okay, back in the day, a short seller in the 1980s, they'd put out a hit piece, maybe, you know, 1,000, 2,000 people that were smart money would see it, and it would cause a movement in the market. Now, Roaring Kitty, and let me actually see how many views this tweet has. I think it has like over millions and millions of tweets. Oh, Kyle Lacey says he's not being sued by the SEC. Kyle Lacey says it's actually a class action suit by investors, not the SEC. Ah, okay. Anyway, I still think the same principle stands. If you have a big platform and a big audience to send out a tweet and 10 million people can see it, well then okay, well then maybe that has some power to move the market. I think with current laws, they weren't written to account for that. So do we draw a fine line by saying, is that freedom of speech? Or is that market manipulation? And I don't know the answer to that. But what I will say is, it's this fine line. I think it's a very, very fine line. That's what I'll have to say. All right, let's do one lap around Columbus Circle, actually, and then let's continue to head downtown. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Also, just a quick reminder, this Thursday, everybody, we will be publishing our most recent market update. So if you want to receive all of our equity research for free, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and you'll be signed up to our Substack. This is a reminder, every other Thursday, right as the market closes, we publish all of our market thoughts. So if you like the conversation that we have on these live streams, I think you would love our newsletter, Behind the Street, so go ahead and get it. Brad's Brains is as long as he owns it. I guess it's similar to commentators on financial channels having to disclose when they own stocks. There's 220 Central Park South. In the next newsletter that I'm going to drop on Thursday, I'm going to do a deep dive into Amazon as well as Netflix. I think there's specific business components that the market is, let's just say, underestimating. I think the advertising business of Amazon is being severely underestimated by the market, so we'll see. This place is always packed. I think this is a vegan ice cream shop. Anyway, hey MD, what's up? Hey Tom, no lizard catching in Miami. I'll be there. I'm flying out tomorrow. So there's another announcement. I will be in Miami, Florida tomorrow. I am taking off tomorrow afternoon, so there will probably be no live stream tomorrow night. So just as a quick reminder, no live stream tomorrow night, but then we will be back live from downtown Miami and Brickell on Tuesday. So hopefully the rain holds out. We'll see. Hey Patrick D, what's up? Yeah, last night was a little bit crazy. We went to the Village. For those of you who didn't see the live stream last night, we saw a big takedown body slam by the NYPD. I guess that's what they're paid to do, right? Stop the criminals. So what we're looking at right now is 1 Central Park West. This is the Trump International Hotel and Towers. Now the first 16 floors is the hotel, and you can really tell because of all the lights are on. They have really, really high occupancy at the Trump Tower. But as I pan the camera a little bit further up, you notice how there's not as many lights on. That's because these are all condos. So people who own in the building, right, as a pied-à-terre, their primary residence, they own above the 16th floor. And it looks like most people aren't home. Hey John, what's up? I'm new here. What do you go between New York City and Miami so much for? I live both places, so I have a place in Miami, I have a place in New York. We also sell and own real estate in both places. And I love it. I love Brickell. I love Miami and New York City. So yeah, so we'll be there. We'll be there tomorrow. And obviously right next to 1 Central Park West is 15 Central Park West, one of the most sought after buildings in all of New York City. It's nicknamed the Limestone Building. And they launched sales during the depths of the financial crisis. Everybody thought it was going to do so horribly, but it's sold out, a complete sellout. It sold very, very well. Mainly because it catered to high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. So even though there's a global recession and a financial crisis, it seems like rich people by and large are always isolated. This is the Deutsche Bank Towers, formerly known as the AOL Time Warner Center. This was built by the Related Group. And right here, way back in the day, this used to be a convention center. And once the convention center closed down after they built the Jacob Javits Center on 34th Street, there was all homeless. It was really, really bad area here, which you would never in a million years think it was. So Related bought this plot of land, built the Time Warner Center, and everybody thought it was going to do horribly because this was post 9/11, and they said, look, nothing that resembles the Twin Towers is ever going to do good. But it was a smash. It did really, really good. And you have the Mandarin Oriental in there too. Hey, Esmeralda, what's up? Good to see you. Happy Sunday to you too. Our good friend Esmeralda. Always a pleasure. Guys, these are the congestion pricing infrastructure that we spent billions of dollars on. And now it's just gone to waste because we've reneged on the congestion pricing. So there's going to be no more congestion pricing. Thanks to the Governor Kathy Holt. But she did the right thing, but she probably should have made that call before we invested $1 billion or however much it cost. I don't think it cost that much, but Connor says, whenever I go to Miami, I feel like I'm in a third world country. Interesting. Yeah, 15 Central Park West is awesome. Yikes. Hopefully whoever's in the back of that is going to make it. They always say when the bus is moving fast, that's actually very good news. It's when the bus is going very, very slow and they just have their lights on, that means the person who's in the back is probably deceased. But if they're trucking, that's good news. Here's a shot at Billionaires Row, Steinway Tower, 157, 220 Central Park South, and Central Park Tower. Hey Dina, I have not done a tour inside the Empire State Building. Would that be a pretty good idea? I just don't know if they allow filming inside there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, as we're now almost an hour in. Colton Manning's is where we headed tonight. Well, we're supposed to be headed to the Brooklyn Bridge, but we are nowhere near there, so I'm gonna have to stop getting distracted and go there sooner or later, and I think that's gonna be right now. But I wanna show you the roundabout at 15 Central Park West just because I love it so much. Jeff Harris, a slow-moving ambulance can also mean the patient is non-critical or stable. Well, that's good news. When I took a policing course, I think it was called PJCS 101 in college. I don't know, that's what the professor would always said. He was like this old guy, retired NYPD detective. And pretty much the whole class was just about him telling his police stories from being a police officer in the 70s and 80s in New York City. I don't even think we opened a textbook. It was just him standing at the front of his class telling all these wild, wild stories. Anyway, all right, let's start to head downtown. We'll wait so we don't get hit by this car. But guys, tomorrow is July 1st. Friday was the official last day of the quarter, so Q2 is gone, it's over. This was one of the best first half performances for the S&P 500 in history. I think we're going to finish the year exceptionally strong for the S&P. We talked about that data. This is coming out of Fundstrat. I happen to like Tom Lee a lot. I think he's a really good guy. The S&P 500 or the market in general performs the best during election years when the current president is running for re-election. Now, if we want to look to some leading economic data, the first business day of the month, which just so happens to be tomorrow, July 1 on Monday, we're going to hear from the Institute for Supply Management as they release the ISM PMI numbers for the manufacturing sector. So if you go ahead and type exclamation point ISM in the chat, the Nightbot is going to drop the link to the Institute for Supply Management's website. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone here. But this is probably one of the most important leading economic indicators that a lot of portfolio managers and traders watch, mainly because the manufacturing sector makes up about 20% of the US economy. And if you build a model in Excel, it could be a very, very basic model. If you go to the ISM website, my phone's gonna die in a minute. You can download, I think, all of the data going back to the 1950s. I think this started in 1956. So you could export all of this data to an Excel spreadsheet, make a model, and what you'll see visualized is the business cycle in action. So if you don't know how to interpret the report, generally speaking, a reading above 50 signals expansion in the manufacturing sector of the US economy. A reading below 50 signals contraction, but I actually like to interpret it in a little bit of a different way. And this was taught to me by one of my friends who is a really successful hedge fund manager. He says it's not necessarily the number of the PMIs that matter, it's the trajectory of those PMIs. So if you look at a 12-month look back of the PMIs, let's say if you get a 46 reading, a 46, a 47 handle, a 50, a 58.6, and a 58. Chances are the market would be starting to go up in the trajectory of those PMIs. So oftentimes when you have a reading of 58, 56, 54, 50, the news will report this as, oh, the manufacturing sector of the economy is doing great. But the PMIs are actually rolling over. And that usually, right, there's about a 70% correlation. And we'll kind of go into why. When the PMIs start to roll over, the market starts to roll over. Because there's a high predictor in GDP growth with market direction. 70% of the time GDP growth is positive in the US, the S&P is also positive. So you can kind of, mark these 1-1 scenarios, 1-2 scenarios that if the manufacturing sector is expanding, well, there's a high probability that GDP is also going to expand 6 months from now. That will give us a 70% probability the market will be higher. So as a portfolio manager, generally speaking, you want to trade in the direction of the market. So if you see PMIs cratering and rolling over, probably not a good idea to start putting on a bunch of long positions. And vice versa. If you start to see the PMIs recovering, right, going from 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, probably not a great idea to start to put a bunch of short positions on the market, right? You want to give yourself a high probability of success. Let me see if I could scroll down throughout here. This is what I was going to point out. This is the most important part of the report, in my opinion. So if you scroll down about a quarter of the way through the report, it's going to say what respondents are saying. Obviously, this is a survey, so this goes out to the heads of big manufacturing industries, and they give you a little bit of a forecast of what they're seeing in their industry. So for example, accommodation and food services, agriculture, forestry, fishing, healthcare, and you can get a sense of what this manufacturing in each specific category is saying. So if most of the comments are like, hey, we're seeing a huge pickup in our industry, the outlook is fantastic, well then you can kind of use your brain and say, all right, well then maybe forward-looking earnings in this specific sector is going to be good, and vice versa, right? In computer electronics component manufacturer, right? Let's say if they respond to the survey and they say, hey, there's been a huge slowdown in orders. Orders are falling off a cliff, inventories are exploding, we don't know what to do with this inventory, we're gonna have to slash prices. Well, then you could be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, maybe we can look to put on some short trades in XYZ company that deals in that industry, right? Computer components, maybe Apple computer, whatnot. So these are very, very important leading economic indicators. And we are going to get the ISM PMI manufacturing report out tomorrow, I think at 10:30 a.m. All right, let's go ahead and head down Broadway. And let's see if we can get to the Brooklyn Bridge in an hour here. We'll see. Hey, Katie, what's up? Good to see you. Cosmo's Scary. Always a pleasure to have you here. BPET TV show, what's up? Yeah, Trade Brigades is comparing the prices paid versus orders received is also a solid tell. Part of the same report. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, most people, most Americans, most market participants, they don't look at these indicators, right? They'll just look at a chart of a stock and they'll say, okay, it looks good, I'll buy it. But if you can build, right, and again, this is just the way I was taught. If you can build a systematic framework for investing, right, a top-down, bottom-up system, you're gonna do well over time. You'll have losers, you're gonna lose money in the market, but over the long term, you're gonna do well. Hold on, let me just cross over here. I didn't want to walk down that path. I don't know what's going on with Broadway, man. What's going on? It didn't used to be like that. It's like a mini homeless encampment here. That's strange. I'm right on Billionaires Row. Anyway. Jean Paul, what's up? It's sad to see. Under that scaffolding, never used to be like that. Ever, ever, ever. Anyway, let's go ahead and make this right by the Brooklyn Diner. Across the street, you'll have Carnegie Hall. Cosmo Scary says, can you believe they closed Washington Square? I didn't even know they closed Washington Square Park. I feel like we were just there last night. Yeah, actually we were there last night. Maybe you're talking about right now they closed it? Who knows? They'll probably close it on Halloween too. Washington Square Park is always crazy on Halloween. Cosmo, you said it's only going to be for tonight. Makes sense. I mean, I get it. But I mean, they really cleaned up that park. I mean, it used to be freaking horrible. There used to be drugs, there used to be just gangs, particularly in the northwest part of Washington Square Park. But the NYPD did a really good job of cleaning all that up. There used to be people shooting heroin right there on that corner. But since I've been there, they did a really good job of cleaning all that up. And I think it's because a lot of people complained. You know, those townhomes that are all along the line of Washington Square Park, you know, those are multi-million-dollar properties. So I could definitely imagine the complaints that must have been rolling in from the NYPD. Yogi says, isn't that right by NYU as well? Yeah, it's pretty much the campus of New York University, Washington Square Park, which is great. I love Washington Square Park, but you know, sometimes it gets out of hand, sometimes it can be a little freaky, but I like it. It's a fun environment. I used to skateboard there pretty much every day during my college years. Very fun. I like the mixture of the pre-war buildings. Stephanie says, I like it too, just not late at night. For sure. Doc 7 says massive brawl in Washington Square Park. Oh God. Hey, Khalid Mohammed. What's up, Khalid? Greetings from Egypt. You know, it's interesting. We have quite a few viewers from Egypt, which is cool. I think that's one of the places that I'm most excited about visiting throughout my life. Hopefully one day I'll be able to get myself there. I'd love to see the pyramids. It's very fascinating. Herbert says, Tom, did you avoid the post-Pride fiasco? Probably. I was in the office all day today. I was locked away on Madison Avenue pretty much all day. I had a good day today. I had a very, very good day today. I pretty much did nothing but sit in the office. I got a lot of work done. I read the paper. I stepped out for a minute to get some coffee, but that was really about it. I love those Sundays, right? I think everybody needs one of those days where they go into the office. There's not a soul in the office. You're alone. You can just do some deep work, read. Let's get away from this. Damn, looks like she got hit in the face. It's not good. I think her head was bleeding. Hopefully it wasn't some random attack. Here's another one of these places. I don't get the hype about this place. Does anybody in the chat want to comment on why this place is so amazing? Every single location that I walk past in the city has a line out the door. Every one of them. This place is really, really well. I think it's vegan gelato. But anyway, another thing I was going to say is whenever I'm able to sit down and read a physical copy of the paper, you know, sit down, enjoy myself with the coffee, read the paper, underline things, it does something to my brain where I get this like big blast of dopamine. Like I really, really feel it. It sounds weird, but it's true. I feel accomplished, even though I'm not really accomplishing anything. I may be learning something new by reading, but I just feel good by reading something physical. I don't know if there's been studies done by if you can read something physical as opposed to a phone. I get a total different feeling. Because I read articles on my phone all the time. I have to stop because my eyes are really bad. It gives me a headache. But if you read something physical, a physical book, there's something about turning the page, underlining things. It just gives you a sense of accomplishment, even though you're not really accomplishing stuff. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a big mood booster, I guess. Maybe Professor Dario knows something about that. It has to, maybe it's just tricking your brain into accomplishment. Also, I guess it depends on what you're reading. If you're reading something about the markets and new technology, it's kind of inspiring. Anyway. Quilly says, what about ebooks? Their screens are different from cell phones. You know, I've never tried it out. Are you talking about like a Kindle or something? I've just never tried it. I'm sure I'd like it, but with my genetics, my eyes are really bad. Like for my age. I mean, I'm getting older. I'm not super young anymore, but for my age, my eyes are terrible. If I don't have my contacts in, I can't see anything. It's like I'm inoperable. And if I stare at my phone too long and I'm reading text on the screen, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the blue light, maybe it's just the size of the font, I don't know. I get these really bad migraines, like really bad. But if I'm reading a physical book or something like that, or a physical paper, I don't get any of that at all. I could read for hours. So it's probably something to do with the blue light, staring at a screen all the time. I don't know, but my eyes are horrible. Oh, I think this is going to be on Google Street View. Something, right? Or maybe this is the weathercast truck, I think. I think that's the storm chaser. Professor Dario says I can only read on my desktop monitor. Wow. Usually it's the opposite, right? Alan says I'm the opposite. I prefer a screen. I'm 31. I get that same dopamine hit from learning new information. Interesting. What about anybody else? Maybe put that in the chat. I'm curious to see what the responses are going to be. Put in the chat, how do you like to consume news? Would you rather, or information? Would you rather read a physical book or paper, or do you prefer reading on your phone or your tablet? It's going to be interesting to see some of the answers here. Professor Dario says it's because I'm pretty blind. Well, I'm pretty blind too. I think, so if I remember correctly, on my contacts, I think it says negative 2.75 in both eyes. I believe that's very bad. Negative 2.75. Close as I enjoy reading on my iPad. Will 32 says audiobooks. That's a good one, audiobooks. Kimberly says negative 4.25 in both eyes. Shannon says, do you wear contacts? No, I wear contacts and glasses all the time. If I don't have my contacts in, I have my glasses on for sure. Larry Adams says, either way for me. Pam says there's 0 electronics in our church. Wow, Cosmos is negative 550 here. So it's the higher up you go, the worse it is, right? So Cosmo, you must be wearing contacts or glasses 24/7, or you must not be able to see anything. Because for me, maybe it's just a perception, but I'm inoperable without my contacts. I can't function outside. I wouldn't be able to navigate anywhere. It's just not a good look. MD says contacts are so awful. Well, I was gonna get LASIK, but then I stumbled across this freaking horror show Reddit forum. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't get your information on Reddit. I know, I understand. But I stumbled upon the most terrifying Reddit forum of my life. And I don't think I'm gonna get LASIK anymore. I think I'm just going to wear the contacts, wear the glasses, because some people have been getting, well, on this forum, not too good results in like year 5 and year 6 after the laser eye surgery. Crying in the dark, says Tom, is switching your phone into the dark mode help at all? I'll try it. I don't think so though. Come on, let me catch up on some of the comments. Lori C, what's up? Dina says, yes, I am prone to sometimes debilitating migraines. I've had them since childhood. I take breaks from the screens. I love reading the actual books. So I think we're probably aligned. We're probably exactly the same. Now mine aren't like, I just get a headache. I don't think, it doesn't like drive me to my knees to pain, but I definitely get a headache from it for sure. Hey, everything in Miami, yeah. So this is a new place. And obviously it's not open yet. One of my good buddies sent me a DM on Twitter saying that they're just waiting for their, I think the Department of Health certificate, and then this will be open. But the restaurant's downstairs. This is a really cool dim sum place. Let's see if they have a menu. But this is good dim sum. When it opens, I'll definitely eat here. Anyway, interesting conversation about LASIK. Pam says LASIK isn't forever. Pam says you know you're old. Who said that? Joel PM says you know you're old when you have a huge mouse cursor. Yeah. Well, we'll check this out. When it opens, I'll go here and I'll let you guys know what I think. But from everyone who's been telling me about it, it's supposed to be really good. Yeah, Melissa 2087. I mean, I was really thinking about getting the LASIK, but I don't know. I'm obviously going to consult the doctor about it. I'm not going to make medical decisions based upon Reddit. I understand. I could already foresee the emails that are going to be coming into my email box. I understand. I will consult the doctor about it. Obviously not going to take medical advice from Reddit, but some of the stuff that these people have been experiencing are terrifying. They're like, not to make the whole thing about LASIK, but they're like, it changed my life, it was fantastic, and then 5 years down the line, I started to have so many complications with my eyes. Really, really terrifying stuff, where people started to see steep declines in their vision in year 5, some becoming legally blind, like really crazy stuff. So I'm fine wearing the contacts. All right, everyone, let's make a right here. I don't know if I can walk all the way through Times Square tonight, but Bob says I got pan-optic implants and have 0 complaints, money well spent. I'm not too sure what that is, but I'll research that. Thank you, Bob. I'll take a screenshot of that. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every single night starting at 8:45. Hey, Joshua is new to the channel. Hope to visit New York City soon. Thanks for being here, Joshua. Appreciate it. I think we'll have to exit Times Square because it's going to start to buffer for sure. Head over to 8th Avenue now. An interesting piece of global macro news. I believe we mentioned this before, but last month was the first month that we did not see any food inflation in Argentina. I think a lot of people are underestimating how monumental that is. With new leadership in Argentina, it appears that government is now very, let's just say, free market capitalism, forward-looking, and I think they're going to change their entire economy. So, to an American, let's make this left. I think the wind is crazy. I'll hold that thought. This is Nomura to the right, Japanese bank. But the reason why I think it's so monumental is because, as you know, if you think about inflation in the United States, we're crying and throwing a big fit about how we have 3.4% inflation in the US. And it is not acceptable. I'm not trying to, make a justification. But the last CPI print that we got was 3.3%, right? It came in 0.1% below expectations. In Argentina, they have triple digit inflation on a year-over-year basis. So it's unbelievable to have the first month without any food inflation in the country. It just takes one push of the snowball down the mountain for things to really start to spiral and pick up momentum. And as we've discussed before, this could quite potentially set off, a domino effect throughout the entire region. To have, if this works, right, if what the new president, new leadership is putting in place, if it works, and you start to see massive prosperity and foreign capital investment in Argentina, everyone else in the region is going to want that. And you're going to have this major shift from socialist policies to free market capitalism and prosperity. And that's going to bode very, very well for North America in general, US, Mexico, and Canada. So I think this is a very important trend to watch, as we could spark a little bit of a domino effect here. Cosmos says, are you investing in Argentina? I am not. Never say never though. Doesn't mean I won't. I just don't know too much about it. I don't think I would have an edge there. But if I was from Argentina, I think I'd be pretty optimistic right now. Everyone, this is West 46th Street. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, there's going to be a brand new building built right here. Now the developer is Xtel, who also built 157 and Central Park Tower. This building is going to be called The Torch. Let me see if I can pull up some of the renderings online. My phone died. Never mind. No renderings for you guys. You're gonna have to Google it yourself. But just Google The Torch, New York City. And the renderings of the building is pretty spectacular. As I've said before, I just don't know if it's gonna be able to fit in with the New York City skyline. That I don't know. I guess only time will tell. Oh, shit. Damn. Cosmo, what do you think about The Torch? You give it a thumbs up or thumbs down on the architecture. What do you think? Now, when we go back down to Miami, which I'm pretty excited about, I'm really excited to show you guys the progress on the Waldorf Astoria Tower in downtown Miami. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Waldorf Astoria residences in downtown Miami that's being built directly across the street from Bayfront Marketplace, that's going to be the tallest residential tower south of the World Trade Center. The thing's going to be freaking massive, and they're making good progress. And from what I hear, a lot of fights on 8th Avenue tonight. A lot of people getting a little bit upset. From what I hear, they may install a 24/7 camera, kind of like how they have around New York City, like the Times Square camera, like the one at Bryant Park. They may have a 24/7 rolling camera to see the construction of the Waldorf Astoria. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for that development there. Anthony says, I heard Miami is the land of the lost. Your thoughts? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. All right, everyone, we are now outside of the Row Hotel. This is the biggest migrant facility in New York City. Yeah, Marcos says it's windy. It's really, really windy tonight. The past few nights have been crazy windy. I don't know why. I have to get a microphone, but here's the strange thing. The microphone that adapts into the USB Type-C, it doesn't sound good at all. It like distorts the sound. But the microphone that plugs into the phone that I usually stream on, which is this one. I usually stream on the iPhone 13 mini. This phone right here. All right, let's get off of 8th Avenue. There's too many freaks here, man. I'm not getting a good feeling right now. I'm not getting a good feeling. Let's boogie on out of here. We'll explain this later. We're going to come up on the New York Times building and the Port Authority bus terminal. Navigate over the puddle. I know, Pam says, Tom, the torch looks like a tourist attraction. Well, I guess it kind of is, right? Because if you read about the building, there's going to be 850 unit hotel, and at the top it's going to be this drop ride attraction. So it's going to be like an amusement park ride on the top. I guess it kind of fits the neighborhood, right? It's Times Square-ish, so it does kind of fit the vibe of Times Square. We'll see. I mean, I hope it's successful. Anything that Xtel does, and you know this from watching the stream, every single project that Xtel has done has superseded my expectations. So the build quality is unbelievable from Xtel. And everyone I know who lives at 157 or who lives at Central Park Tower or even 1 Manhattan Square, which is not in the best neighborhood, but has good things to say about the development company. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams almost every night starting at 8:45. And just as a quick reminder, this Thursday, everybody, quick reminder, this Thursday we will be publishing another article. So if you're interested in a lot of the financial topics we talk about and New York City real estate, we write a free investing newsletter called Behind the Street, where we publish all of our equity research completely free. If you want to receive it, just scan the QR code on the screen and punch in your email, and you'll be signed up for our bi-weekly investing research piece. And this Thursday, we're going to publish it right as the market closes, and I think you guys are going to like this one. We have a new twist this week, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So feel free to check it out. This is the New York Times. What do you guys think? New York Times, thumbs up or thumbs down for the Times? This is the Beer Authority to the right. Hey, JC, what's up? JC, I'm sure you are in good spirits tonight as Bitcoin is rebounding from 58,000 back up to, I think, 63.5. We're at a 63 handle on Bitcoin. Adam Luke says regime propagandists. What do you guys think of Jollibee here? Thumbs up or thumbs down for this place? I know Cosmo, didn't you go here in the grand opening at the Times Square location? What are your thoughts on this spot? I haven't tried it yet, honestly. Haven't tried it, but looks like fried chicken. I'm a big fan of Korean fried chicken. Like Pelicana chicken is a good spot, but Cosmo says Jollibee is good, but it's expensive. Is it more of like a touristy thing, I guess? Now Cosmo, assuming that you've been to Pelicana chicken, what do you like better? Or what's better quality, assuming you've been there? Pelicana chicken or this place? Jollibee. Is it Jollibee? Am I pronouncing that right? Oh, is it really? It's Filipino food? I never knew that. It looks like fried chicken to me. I'll have to check it out. Tim says thumbs down. They have them in Orlando. Wow, Cosmo. You have not been to Pelicana chicken? All right, I'll make a recommendation. This week, if you have time, go to Koreatown, 32nd Street. It's on the second floor of that main food hall there, and order a half chicken white meat, just plain fried chicken, and I think you're gonna really like it. It's awesome. It's fantastic. They opened up a second location in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I mean, I don't eat it all the time, maybe, you know, once every few months, but I like it. Cosmos is okay, I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, check it out. It's in the main food hall there, that main food court on 32nd Street. I think the first time, it is a little bit pricey, to be honest, but you're probably familiar with that from the Jollibee. But try the plain half chicken, white meat, boneless, just fried plain. Don't get any sauce on it. Maybe you get sauce on the side, but I think you need to experience it plain first. That's just my take. Now, there's that other company that's been opening up all over New York, and I was curious to see if it was publicly traded. It's not, because those types of QSR, quick service restaurant, and fast casual businesses could be real, you know, real cash cows. Prime example, Chipotle, Wingstop, you know, one of my biggest winners of all time, ticker symbol WING. Hyper scalable, very simple menu, high margin QSR businesses like Chipotle, like Wingstop, like Kava. Those are your leaders. Those are your three leaders in that QSR group. We talked about this before. Sweetgreen, ticker symbol SG. I think Sweetgreen is just too healthy to be super scalable. You kind of have to be in the middle. Like, Mexican food is very scalable, has a huge TAM. With Kava, I think there's a smaller total addressable market there because Mediterranean food is, you know, you're probably not going to be able to eat Mediterranean food every day as you would a Chipotle, but yeah, a few newsletters ago we kind of outlined our bull thesis for Kava. If you think about the scalability of Chipotle, the simplicity of the menu. Hold on, I gotta put you guys down. Could be a pretty big winner. So Brad's Brains think I may grab some December 300s on Tesla tomorrow. You need to get that spread for Thursday's newsletter. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna look at. I'll DM you on Twitter or X. Maybe we'll throw something on. Kakasas do not understand the success of Chipotle. I mean, you don't need to understand it. I mean, they're an absolute cash cow. But what's proven to be successful is simplicity of the menu. So sometimes giving customers too many options is a very, very bad thing, because it's number one, a lot of food goes to waste, and it's very difficult to manage inventory. But if you could have a simple menu, which means you only have a handful of ingredients, and if you can purchase in bulk, you can get very, very good deals from wholesalers, right, or wherever they buy the stuff from. I think that's one of the main reasons why Chipotle has done so well. Also, in their growth strategy, if you go all the way back to Chipotle, really when Chipotle IPO'd, notice, and you can download a lot of these investor decks. It's all public information. Download some of the original investor decks of Chipotle and notice their growth strategy in terms of store locations where they first opened up stores. Kava is doing something very, very similar, and the growth strategy is really brilliant. Really, really brilliant. Yeah, we could do a whole deep dive on Chipotle and fast casual. Hey, music to relax and unwind. Amazon using human bots to replace workers for minimum wage, or they're using robots to replace human workers. Yes. They're automating a lot of their fulfillment centers, and this is talked about in the Amazon shareholder letter. So if you go to my Twitter page, if you follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter or X, I don't think that X name is going to catch on ever. I think Elon Musk really shot himself in the foot with that X. I think he should have just left the name as Twitter and just made Twitter better. You don't need to change the name. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Go ahead and you can either get it. I posted the link to it on my Twitter, or just go to the Amazon Investor Relations page. Download the most recent shareholder letter by Andy Jassy and look at the main bullet points that they want to improve on in the business. And automation is a big one, and that's going to do wonders for exploding margins in the e-commerce business. And they also have a huge runway in AWS. There was an interesting piece in there about drone delivery. They've been trying to do that for a long time, but the reason why I'm so bullish Amazon and Walmart in particular is because they already own the infrastructure to do delivery in fresh produce, right? Because they own Whole Foods, but they also own the logistics and the 3PL to be able to do it successfully at scale. And that's so important, because that is so freaking capital intensive. You know, if any other business wants to compete with Amazon, their capex is going to explode, because they're going to have to spend so much money to compete. But Amazon already has the 3PL and logistics built out. They own Whole Foods, and you could say the same thing about Walmart. Walmart already has the supercenters, they have the logistics, they have the infrastructure, they own it. And there's no wonder why Walmart and Amazon are trading at record highs. Now, I was reading this article, and they said by revenue, the number one company in the United States by revenue, so who produces the most revenue, number one is Walmart, and number two is Amazon. I think number three may be Apple. I think. Could someone Google that? because I'm about to make a point, and I don't want to make the point if I'm going to be spreading fake news. I think the number one company in the United States by revenue per annum is Walmart. Number 2 should be Amazon, and number 3 should be Apple. Now, here's the point I'm going to make. Let's just assume it's true, because then I'm going to make a point. And this is why I hammer you guys so much about gross margins and margin expansion with AI. Because take all that revenue, right? I mean, you could have $500 billion worth of revenue a year, but if you're not making any, if there's no net income, it doesn't matter. The thing with Amazon is that with automation, with AI, they have a real shot of expanding gross margins. Because if you look at the e-commerce business with Amazon, that's not a moneymaker, okay? It has not been a moneymaker. Most people think of Amazon and they think, oh wow, Amazon must make so much money off the e-commerce business. They don't. They make most of the money off of AWS, the cloud computing business. Should they implement robotics, AI the appropriate way, and explode profitability in the e-commerce sector, that's a double in the valuation of the stock off the bat, immediately. With the amount of revenue they bring in, if they can crack that code to make e-commerce profitable, right, to hit the bottom line in terms of net income, right, not EBITDA, net income, the stock is going to double. At least that's how I've modeled it. JC says number 1 Walmart, number 2 Amazon. Wow, number 3 ExxonMobil. I would have never thought ExxonMobil. That's so strange. Now, I guess globally, what would it be globally then? It's probably the Saudi Aramco, right? I think that's the most valuable company in the world, is the Saudi. Anyway, this is the brand new Penn Station for those of you who are not familiar. I think they did a really good job. This is the new entrance of the Long Island Railroad. You can take the 123 AC and E trains. Okay, so photos from around New York says Walmart 611 billion, Amazon 502 billion in annualized revenue. And I think that's up 12% from last year. So just imagine the revenue side. And if you model this, and you can play around in Microsoft Excel, just like play around with the numbers to say, okay, what if they have like 2% margin expansion? You know, what if net income can expand by 2% or 3% or 5%? When you're dealing with those numbers that are so massive, right? 500 billion. The numbers really start to accumulate. Like, it's insane. You're talking about significant increases in net income, which is just, net income is just another term of saying profitability. Most people on Wall Street, they want to, talk about, EBITDA and EBITDA margins. I am along the lines with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, God rest his soul, on this, to not put too much weighting on EBITDA. I care about the true profitability. Yeah, Katie says cut costs and scale up. And Andy Jassy has done a really good job of that too. I think he's fired like 27,000 people last year. Now I know that's going to sound, you never want to see anybody get fired, but at the end of the day, Amazon and many other companies overhired during the pandemic because they had to, because the demand was so high. So they overhired during the pandemic. It just wasn't Amazon. This was Meta as well, with Mark Zuckerberg. If you remember correctly, the board of directors, the board was hammering Mark Zuckerberg. It was brutal. If you were on any of those earnings calls in 2022, a lot of people forget this, but Meta was down 77% from the peak in 2021. Right, since the stock market is trading at all-time record highs and since Meta has rebounded, a lot of people forget, investors have short-term memory. But Meta stock was down 70%, I think over 70%, which is insane. And the board pressured Zuckerberg, put a ton of pressure on him to say, look, you got to cut the woke stuff, number one. Number two, you got to go scorched earth and get back to your core business, which is the advertising business. Zuckerberg then laid off 25% of the staff, which was, and you know, Meta employees make a lot of money. And the company ran the exact same, if not better. They streamlined operations and net income exploded. Earnings turned around and the stock went back to new all-time record highs. You know, it's just called trimming the fat, cutting the costs. Oh, yikes. I really should probably step in there, but I can't. Tonight, I can't do it. It's sad. See the domestic violence. If you rewind the stream, that guy was punching that lady. I usually step in for these things, but I can't do it tonight. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Anyway. I know, Alistar. It's too, with the city, with the way the city is, these people, it's weapons. Give me 1 second. All right, we're all good. What were we saying? I think we were talking about Amazon. Let's see. All right, I think we're back. second. We were talking about Meta. Yeah, and you know, generally across the board, 2021 was a crazy year for everybody. There was so much demand, so much business, so companies overhired. And when the Federal Reserve started to raise interest rates, what that did is really simmered things down a little bit, right? Sales went down, revenues went down in companies, but the overhead was still there from all the employees, right? There was still so much corporate bloat. So what a lot of these CEOs did is said, okay, let's get back to square one. Let's cut costs, which means laying people off. You never like to lay people off, but sometimes you have to do that as a CEO. Zuckerberg did that better than anybody else. I think Andy Jassy did that better than anybody else. Laid off about 27,000 employees, got very, very lean and mean. Managed to re-accelerate the growth in AWS on the Amazon front. But you saw Zuckerberg do the same thing, get back to the core advertising business, cut costs, lay people off. In Meta's case, I believe it was almost 25% of the entire company. It was a lot of people. And the company ran the exact same. Similarly, remember when Elon Musk acquired Twitter? I think in that case, over 70% of the company was laid off. Everyone thought that the company was going to tank, that Twitter was going to go down, and the company is running better than ever with a fraction of the employees. This almost reminds me of this amazing interview, fantastic interview. Andrew Ross Sorkin and Carl Icahn. For those of you who don't know, Carl Icahn is what you would call a corporate raider on Wall Street back in the day. And if you haven't watched this interview with Carl Icahn, for Cosmo, if he's still in the chat, this is Pelicana Chicken right here. So just go to Food Gallery 32, go to the second floor, and that's where you can go. But there's this amazing interview with Carl Icahn. You gotta look it up. Just type in Carl Icahn laying off employees and it'll come up. And long story short, when he bought this company, he was like, I can't understand what these guys do all day. He brought in these consultants, I think from McKinsey. And McKinsey comes in, or whatever consulting firm, and they said, Mr. Icahn, okay, we'll do the study, we'll find out what they do. It's gonna cost you $500,000. He's like, all right, give you the $500,000. They come back, he's like, Mr. Icahn, you know, you've been frank with us, we're gonna be frank with you. We don't understand what these people do either. So he fires the entire floor of people, the entire New York office, he fires everybody. And he's like, nobody even missed him. I didn't get a letter, I didn't get a phone call, nothing. And a lot of companies in the United States are run like that now. Lots of corporate bloat. There's a lot of people who sit at their desk and really do nothing all day. And I'm not rooting for people to get laid off, but with AI, it's going to automate a lot of these jobs away, and that's going to explode profit margins on Wall Street. Explode them. That's kind of my take. So we'll see. Hey Dennis, what's up? Will 32 says with AI taking more and more jobs, subsidized income is a possibility. Maybe. There was a presidential candidate that was talking about that. Andrew Yang. What do you guys think of the Empire State Building? What's up, Natalie? Good to see you. see you. Thanks for joining. The lights just came on. We're standing on the corner of 32nd Street and 5th Avenue. I don't think we're gonna be able to make it down to the Blue Bridge tonight. We'll try tomorrow night. Oh, actually, we're not gonna be trying tomorrow night. I will be in Miami tomorrow night, so no live stream tomorrow night. Hey Felipe, this is Tom. What is your take on wristwatches? As a sales guy, what do you think of them as a conversation starter? I don't own a watch. I think I only own one watch, actually, that was a gift because I was in someone's wedding party, but I've never worn the watch. If you really are passionate about watches and that's what you like, then go for it. But I just don't have any interest in watches. I don't have any interest in cars. I'm not saying that if you do have interest in those things that it's bad at all. It's just I wouldn't be able to hold the conversation with somebody talking about a watch. It just doesn't interest me. But if for you, like you're all read up on the watch industry, you know the different Rolexes and the Patek Philippe and all this stuff, well then maybe that's a good thing for you because that you could find something in common with the person. I think for me, if I were to do that, it would come off as very not genuine just because I have no interest. I mean, so you could throw a $250,000 watch in front of me, I'm like, I just don't get it. But some people have that appreciation, right? So I'd say, hey, if you like watches, that's your thing, do it. That's awesome. And there's a lot of people that like watches too. I just don't really know too much about them. I'm not really that into it. But some people have crazy watch collections and they love it. So if that's your thing, I say go for it, man. I say go for it. But just me personally, I'm not a big watch guy. NFTs is waste of money. I'd rather travel. Well, someone that likes watches would say, traveling's such a waste of money, I'd rather have a watch. It's just about preference, you know? Just about preference. Now, an interesting thing, I think I made this comment before about watches. This must have been 3 or 4 months ago. We were on this topic about watches, and I was on the Bloomberg terminal, and there's actually a function on Bloomberg where you can look up like price trends of luxury watches. And in 2021 they went like this, prices of like Rolexes, luxury watches, and now they're cratering. So if you're in the market for a watch, I even said myself, I'm like, you know what, if I get a big check, maybe I'll buy a Rolex or something, because you're pretty much buying at the bottom of the market, I think, right? Just kind of being a contrarian. In 2021, people were jumping and stumbling over each other to buy these very expensive watches. And now they're all flooding on the market. It happens in every cycle. So you could probably get a pretty good deal. Again, I know nothing about this. I'm not a jeweler. I know zero, but just speaking in generalities, maybe now, I mean, if you like watches and you're in the market for one, maybe now is actually not the worst time to buy one, actually. So I don't know, go to the New York City Diamond District and talk to one of the guys there. Jeff W277 says, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to regret not buying some expensive item or not visiting some place? I think it depends on what you enjoy personally. If you really enjoy watches and you enjoy collecting them, you enjoy the craftsmanship, you enjoy really the architecture of building the watch, and you enjoy talking about it with your friends and having a conversation about it, well, then I think you got good value out of it. You know, people are interested in different things. People love traveling. Some people don't. Some people are homebodies and they want to stay home, and that's it. So I guess it just really depends. I think whatever makes you happy, you should spend your money on. If you have excess income, I'd say do it. Some people are obsessed with art. Some people spend so much money on art. I'm not really into art. I bought two, my friend kind of pressured me into buying these two pieces, which are really, really nice. The only type of expensive things that I have that are physical are probably those two paintings that I have. And the painting is of Federal Hall in Lower Manhattan, sitting right behind the George Washington statue at Federal Hall, looking at the New York Stock Exchange. And the paintings are in stores. They're not even up. They're not even hanging up. They're in storage. So. Oh, nice. Tim says, "Hey, Tom, I'm flying from Houston to New York City tomorrow morning. Love that. Going to spend July 4th out there with the kiddos. Super excited." Oh, man. I'm excited for you. Hopefully, I'll be back in New York City July 4th. But it's just going to be an unbelievable experience. The 4th of July this year in Manhattan. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The fireworks are now back again on the west side. So the viewing experience, in my opinion, is going to be much better than it was a few years ago and last year. It's always better on the west side because you have more places to view it, in my opinion. Dennis the Menace is what happens when all those jobs get replaced by AI. Well, this is how I kind of have a take on it, and then we'll kind of blow the stream out. I think AI and robotics is going to play out just like every single major technological revolution cycle in America. People are going to freak out about all the job loss, but in hindsight, looking back on it, technology, for every one job it destroys, it usually creates 4 to 5 jobs, right? We've talked about this with the internet revolution, software. I mean, think about just all the jobs that were created by the internet. It's going to be the same thing with AI. Now, the next follow-up question is going to be, okay, well then name one of the jobs that's going to be created. And my answer to you is, it's impossible to name the jobs that are going to be created because they don't exist. Right? If you went back in time to 1997 and said, "Oh, I'm an architect for Amazon AWS," that segment of the business didn't even exist. You know, if you went back in 1995, "Oh, I run a Bitcoin mining farm." Bitcoin didn't even exist. The technology didn't even exist. So, and you can name a trillion other examples. So that's what I think. The law of slow-moving disasters is real, and humans are very adaptable. This is one Vanderbilt, and I think there's going to be much more jobs created than are destroyed, in my view. But if you guys enjoyed the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. If you like these conversations we have about the financial markets in New York City, please scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, because we write a free equity research piece every other Thursday right as the market is closing. And we're going to be sending out our latest issue this Thursday. in the afternoon. So thanks everybody. This has been a fun stream. I appreciate all of you. I wish you the best in the week ahead. God bless America. The greatest holiday coming up is the 4th of July. So enjoy the shortened week. So Colton Manning, Sarah, Professor Dario, Island Girl, Katie, thank you so much. Dale, Dennis the Menace, KML, I appreciate it. DM, Madison 32, all of our moderators. Have a wonderful week and a happy 4th of July. And we'll see you guys live from downtown Miami on Tuesday. Take care.
Don't call him.